Hey guys, it's Techno Freak here, and welcome to the first episode of my development series for Amnesia Rebirth. And this is a series where I show you the development of my own custom story called Night of the Living Memes. It's actually going to be a meme custom story where I pretty much get to learn a little bit more about the engine itself and get more comfortable with doing things in for custom stories in regards with like scripting and stuff like that. So it is a bit of a meme custom story, but it'll help me learn more. And if I go on to make more custom stories, I'll know a lot about the engine already by the time that my meme custom story is done. I've been thinking about how I want to get these videos out to you guys. I've had these pretty much recorded for a while now. I just haven't decided on how I want to do these. But I think what I'm going to do is these development series videos, I'm going to do it in voiceover format. So I have them pre-recorded, and then I'm going to just kind of jump in different parts of the video and just kind of tell you guys what I'm doing, what I was thinking at the time and stuff like that. I won't actually be sharing any code that I do for these episodes here. So if maybe I might share like the code for the scripts for the story later on, when I make the first release of the custom story itself, when it goes out to the public. But for right now, I don't plan on putting any code. So if you look in the description, there won't be any links to any code or anything like that. With all that said, let's talk about what we're doing here in the first episode. In the first episode, we're pretty much just getting started. So we're going to be making our first map. I have the project pretty much created and just with an empty, script file, but nothing else. So I'm going to be creating the intro map now. What I'm aiming to create is a forest for the intro map. And what I'm looking to do is make the player slowly walk through the forest. It's going to be like a nighttime scenario. So it's going to be at night. I want the player to slowly walk through the forest. And then at some point it's going to be a very scripted intro, I think. And at some point while the player is walking, a ghoul is maybe going to spawn, and then what I'm thinking is kidnap the player and take them to the actual main part of the story where the player has to escape or whatever it is. I'm not sure exactly on the details past that point. At first I want to kind of introduce the player into a very to make it a very serious story. I want them to think it's very serious, and then slowly start throwing in the memes and kind of the ridiculous aspects of the custom story. So I want the intro to be very serious and then just kind of grow from there. But for right now, we're just focused on creating this outdoor environment. Alright, so if you notice, the video is actually going to be sped up. It's going to be sped up by 200%, so it's going to be twice as fast. If you want to slow down the video and see everything that I'm doing in normal speed, you can go ahead and just on YouTube just toggle on the half speed setting and watch it at half speed. That'll be the normal speed that everything's moving around. And that will let you guys see what exactly I'm doing. But the whole video will be sped up to be twice as fast, just so that the whole video isn't an hour plus long, because a lot of these dev videos are typically recorded for hours on end. So just a note. And also, if you notice in the background, while I've been talking, there's been a lot of stuff going on. I'm working on creating the terrain here. I'm trying to get a forest terrain, so I don't want it to be too bumpy. So I've been trying to get a nice flat terrain going, where the player doesn't notice too harsh of hills or anything like that when they're walking through the forest. It's got to be a little bumpy, but not too aggressive. Not be too aggressive as well. Alright, so here what I'm doing is I'm just going to be placing down a campfire and a spawn point for the player. Then I'll be changing in the config the name of the spawn point to make sure that we spawn into the right place when we load into the map. And then we'll go ahead and start up the level and just kind of check a few things. We'll also add a skybox just to make sure that the skybox looks okay. Alright, so now we're actually going to get started on making the environment now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some trees to actually put down and start like making the forest. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn on some random settings for dropping these trees. So when I put them down, I want the rotation and the size to be randomized so that it looks a little bit more natural and less like copy and paste. So yeah, so I'm going to turn those on, mess around with some of these settings and decide on what looks best. Then I'm going to start putting some trees down. I finished placing down my initial set of trees. I launched up the game to check out what it looks like, see what the environment's looking like right off the bat. And so far I'm liking how it looks, but I'm noticing that it's a little bit too easy to see through the trees and see to like the sky. And the sky's kind of bright. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try and obscure the player's view of the edge of the map, of the skybox. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to start lining up trees all along the border of the terrain, so that the player can't see clear through the trees all the way to the edge of the map where the skybox meets the terrain. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to be making these trees back here static. So I decided to line up these trees and kind of like lower them to obscure the player's view. But I don't want them to actually have like any wind effect. If you notice when you place a tree down, there's like a wind effect that makes the tree kind of like the leaves on the tree wobble. This kind of makes it more graphically intense for the player playing. So it could cause lag to have a lot of these trees here. So what I'm going to try and do is change all these trees on the edge to be static. That way they shouldn't have an entity-like effect. They should just be static, just a tree, nothing else. And you'll notice I'll also be doing this with the trees on the farther end around the player. After previous testing, I decided that the level was actually a little bit too dark. So what I decided to do, I decided to use the light, the skybox light, to add a little bit of light to the level. I only set this to 0.01, so it's a very small amount, but it lights up the level just a smidge more, so it's not completely pitch black. So I'm placing point lights here for one of two reasons. One, I still felt it was too dark even after putting a little bit of skybox brightness. But what I really wanted this for was so that the immediate area where the player spawns in is lit up, and then the when they look off into the forest, into the distance, since it's not lit up, it looks pretty dark. So it makes it look a little bit more realistic, kind of like when your eyes adjust to the darkness. It looks you can see immediately around you, but once you start looking a little bit too far, things start going like really dark on you. I decided to start placing trigger areas down. I felt it was a little early for this. but I thought it would be good to just have this set up, mainly because I had something in mind with the lighting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be placing down 3 trigger areas in between all the point lights. And what I think I'll do, at least immediately, is make it so that when the player steps through these trigger areas, the next set of lights will come on, and as he keeps walking through the forest, the lights will start turning on. So it'll kind of give you the effect that the light that your eyes are like adjusting. So I wanted to add that, and then I'll also reuse these trigger areas, not just for the lighting, but also to add my scripted events for the forest that I'm going to be doing. Of course, later on, if I need any more, I'm going to put down any more, but I'm going to try and keep it limited to these 3 trigger areas here. Now we're just doing the final touches here, kind of just messing with some of the lights here and changing their brightness values. And we'll also launch up the game a few times just to kind of check how everything's looking. But at this point, yeah, we're pretty much just wrapping up, cleaning up a little bit of what we did today. In the next episode, we're going to be doing some scripting. We're going to be doing that lighting thing I mentioned before, where we make it so that when you step through those trigger areas, the light slowly starts to increase in brightness to kind of make it seem like the player's eyes are adjusting. And then after that, we'll also start working on a little bit of a wake up script, where we kind of get it so that the player like wakes up and looks around and stuff like that. We'll get started on that, and also we'll mess around with some player effects as well. Trying to make it so that like the player can't run and crouch and do certain things that we don't want him to do during this like intro scripted event, just to make sure that you know, he doesn't do anything out of what we want him to do, since this intro is gonna be very scripted, at least initially. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. These definitely take a lot of time to edit and actually voice over and stuff, so definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave some comments as to what you think I should add into the levels and what you guys want to see me add into the my custom story here. Definitely got more videos coming. They do take time to put out, so I might not put these out very often, maybe like 1 a week or 1 every 2 weeks or something like that. But they might be generally longer than my other videos. They could be anywhere between like 30 minutes to like an hour long, so just look out for those. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.